the resolution, draft.
Yes, it's a draft, and I'm here. As you can see, it's in resolution form that follows Idaho statutes. Yeah, the agenda item today is to discuss what will be in there. This is not a formal adoption of the resolution. This is all draft form. First thing I've put out so far, so if you guys could review it and give any. If you want me to take something out, add something in.
For that email?
Yeah, how should we just only send you our recommendations?
Yeah, if you guys
email to everybody.
Yep. Then I can incorporate them all into one document, bring them back to the next meeting with everyone's comments incorporated into the document. It'll show up on the side, and then you guys can discuss it further and finalize, and maybe even adopt at that point.
And this is just so we have a policy that we can follow.
Correct.
And not say we didn't, we violated something.
Correct. That we have standard procedures that we follow regardless of time, place, subject, person, anything like that.
And it's been thought out. We allow people to speak at a proper time, and you give them enough time. And
are they compatible to what the county does on there?
Yeah, so all of my examples, it follows very closely what Idaho County has for their public hearing procedures, as well as what iCrimp has recommended. If you guys would like, I can send you the material I used. Basically, it's just a boilerplate of plus coupled with what we've practiced at every single one of our public hearings. The time limit recommendations by iCrimp, also what Idaho County does, the procedures for sign-in, when to speak, not interrupting the speaker themselves. It's all based from iCrimp, Idaho counties, and Idaho statutes. So
a lot of this is policy that everybody is kind of working through in the country, that everyone trying to hammer out a thorough policy that works for people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when the COVID happened and my political party, we had our online convention, and there was no Robert's Rules of Order at all to handle online. And now that is finally starting to trickle in with Robert's Rules.
I like that you mentioned that. One thing I did not include in here was that, and that's because, like I said, no one's included online and Zoom in their procedures yet. It's just not. I mean, maybe Cooney County has. Yeah. So that one is completely open for your guys' suggestion. I didn't want to insert anything in there. It's not addressed in here, and it wasn't in any of our examples.
I know. I want us to figure out how do we. Somebody comes in and signs in, and then they come into Zoom. How do we have that sign-in?
Yeah.
When they're in there on Zoom, and just like, and this is where I want to be lenient. Just like somebody, even though our meeting starts at 6, they don't show up till 6:15 or 6:20. They still sign in when they get there. Just because somebody comes in zooms in late, they still should be accredited that they're there.
Yeah. I have to jump on them like a puma in the middle of the meeting and get them to sign.
And that's the other thing is where I wanted to kind of log into Zoom, that I think we should have somebody else logged into Zoom. That's either up the board or somebody at some level to handle allowing people into the Zoom meeting when you are describing what's on the slide, stuff like that. Because otherwise, you just got people sitting and waiting, or they're not experiencing the meeting. They don't.
And instead of a sign-in, is there any way they can do a chat if they listen to who I am or identify themselves really? Because who knows what's on the screen, if that's really them or not.
Well, that will have.
That was a big problem when I downloaded. So I thought I would have Clint at the public hearing. That was during the Troner where I didn't have Clint. I have been talking with Logan about her participation in future public hearings and how she'll be involved. So we will have that. we were just a bit of a, I'm standing, which is normal. I know that there was some public comment about, well, why isn't the board up there? Well, as you'll notice, and based out of Idaho County's procedures for their public hearings, there is what they call an officiator, or a public hearing is usually not held by a board member. You guys are more than welcome to do that if that's what you want to do, but it's not customary. It's like an officiator, a moderator, the presiding officer. Yeah, it was a little bit of a sticky spot being the person who's up there, then doing the Zoom thing and, trying to keep it all flowing. But, we live, we learn, we get better. So that's good. Yeah, it's just a working document, and there's no massive absolute rush. We don't have any public hearings coming up, so take your time, be really thoughtful on it. I want to make sure we incorporate everything.
And we could either then say we're going to run these meetings the same way or a subset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I had based our rules off of was a document provided by our attorney, Caitlin Kling at the time, and it came from Idaho County with you sign and a decade of practice from our engineers. You have a sign-in sheet, you put your name, you indicate whether you're going to speak, you go from that list. I mean, just an age-old practice.
Yeah, for Zoom though, could you have a free Zoom DocuSign?
We could try. I'm not sure how to do that yet, but I'm sure that there is something. One thing I was going to say, the chat got out of control and somebody logged on in the middle of a public hearing and started spewing profanities. I wasn't aware of it during the meeting. I have it documented, but they got on, and I mean, the people who were on it certainly would have seen it in the chat because they were chatting afterwards and ignoring the person, but calling people just profanities. So don't know who it was. It was just some weird random name, and yeah, they logged in and don't know who it was or anything.
Prior to the COVID, the Zooming, you didn't need a password, or there was something where, because so many people rushed into Zoom, they had to make authorizations or they were recommending people. People were leaving it open and allowing anybody to come in. Yeah. And then they made requirements that you had to have at a minimum the code.
Yeah. And I didn't put the link to the public hearing until an hour before the meeting to circumvent an issue like that. So I have no idea who it was, but we have those types of things.
People fishing for... No, not...
yeah, okay.
People fishing for action, reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll I already had a couple, so I'll just...
Okay, perfect.
Send some to you.
Yeah.
I'll incorporate everyone, bring it back to the next meeting.
How to do sign-in is a challenge for online.
Yeah.
And how to keep the order. Because usually when you go to a public hearing, you have... if you've been to a planning and zoning where you have 100 people sign up, you got to have an order to it.
Yep.
And the poor guy who signed up last, might be 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
But, oh well.
And the hard thing about Zoom is, unless you have an effective way to grab these people as they come in, everybody's bouncing around in their order, and you don't know. So you have to actually document right on a tablet or something who was first. And
I don't think you could win that game.
Yeah.
And
they got to say, I want to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you show up doesn't mean you speak.
Correct.
And then make it known that, written testimony, and not everybody believes this, but a well-written letter is probably more effective than standing up and saying words. So, a well-written letter with documentation is often best.
Yeah. All right, so then on top of what Jesse has said, I'll just say everybody take your recommendations, note them down, and send them to Jesse. Maybe we can have a couple different versions to look at or vote on.
Certainly.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel on this one.
Right. Okay, so let's move on. Then action item number